Good afternoon and welcome to ICMS Open Day 2021. It's my great pleasure now to be hosting our scholarship session for this afternoon. This is one of our most important and most valuable sessions we have on the calendar today. It's my great privilege to have two superstars alongside me today to give you an update on the ICMS scholarship program. Firstly, I have Georgina Gain, who's our Senior Marketing and Communications Manager here at ICMS. And Georgina has a very clear passion for guiding and mentoring students on their journey to studying at ICMS. And it's so great to have you here this morning with us, Georgina. Thank you very much for joining us today. And we also have alongside her a current student and also a superstar in her own right, Samantha Johnston. Samantha, if you joined the events management presentation before, you would have seen her already. But if you didn't, Samantha is a recent graduate from the Tara Anglican School for Girls. She was a drama prefect where she really discovered her passion for helping others and caring for others, which led her into the event space. But importantly as well, I actually met her around about this time last year through the scholarship interview process myself. And from there, we've been blown away by her attitude and commitment to studying both at ICMS and in the events industry. And I'm really excited to see what she's going to talk to you today about with the scholarship program, as well as being a student ambassador. So look, I think without further ado, we hand over to Georgina, who's going to run us through the scholarship program. And look, I look forward to hearing all about it. So Georgina, thank you very much. Take us away.
Thank you, Phil. And yes, this is an important session, mainly because scholarships can change lives. So the ICMS the ICMS scholarship program does encompass everything that the college represents: diversity, connectedness, and of course a career-focused education. And we believe in providing an opportunity for everyone to apply for a scholarship. And by doing that, we're encouraging passion and potential within our community. You will know that obviously last year was a challenging year. And despite that, ICMS were able to offer more scholarships than ever before. We let the numbers speak for themselves. We awarded $2 million worth of scholarships to 130 students from 24 different countries. And we worked with over 13 corporate sponsors. These sponsors are investing in your success. Now, there are lots of different types of scholarships out there, and I'll go through a few of the categories so that you know how to find the right scholarship. Remember, all of these scholarships reward passion and potential. So if you've never studied at ICMS before, you're a new student. We do have scholarships for current students. If you're an Australian or a Kiwi, then you're a domestic student. All other countries, you would be an international student. If you've never done any tertiary education before, then you would be an undergraduate. And we do have scholarships as well for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and we do have equity scholarships as well. Now, I'm going to just quickly talk about equity scholarships. Equity scholarships are really important to us at ICMS. We do believe in giving access to education to those who are potentially experiencing social or economic disadvantage. So if you feel that this is a scholarship category that you would fit into, you can apply for your equity scholarship either through UAC, or you can have a look on our website and you can apply direct for the equity scholarship, and those scholarships will be open quite soon. This is a screenshot of our web pages. So if you're looking for your scholarship, go to icms.edu.au, go onto the Future Students tab, and under Application Information, you'll find the Scholarships tab. When you get onto the scholarships page, you'll see all the categories listed there. You just tick the little box and all the scholarships for your category will appear. But the scholarship I really wanted to talk about today is the Professional Scholarships Program. So the Professional Scholarships Program is open to you if you are currently in your last year of high school, or if you're on a gap year at the moment and you intend to start in February next year. There are a lot of scholarships within the Professional Scholarships Program. So there's a scholarship for each and every one of the undergraduate degrees that we offer. Business, entrepreneurship, tourism, marketing, sports management, accounting, fashion and global brand management, event management, hospitality management, and property. And it's important to remember that if there's more than one strong candidate for a scholarship, the board has the discretion to award more than one scholarship. But when you're putting in your application, you don't need to say which scholarship you want. It just put in your application, and the board will match. If you're successful, the board will match the scholarship to you. Now, we're also lucky within the scholarship, the professional scholarships, we have very close ties with industry. And so we also have some corporate sponsored scholarships, and I'll quickly go through those. ANZ, everybody knows ANZ Bank, and they have a scholarship for Bachelor of Business students. That includes a 14-week paid internship placement. And that would be a fantastic way of opening doors for you if you're interested in corporate business. Host Plus, a lot of you will know Host Plus. They're the industry super fund for hospitality, tourism, sports and recreation. And they actually sponsor two scholarships. This is the first one, the Hospitality Management Scholarship. And that's open to students who have a passion for the hospitality industry. Then we've got the What If Scholarship. Now, if you're looking for a travel deal, regional travel, you would have gone to whatif.com. They are Aussie for travel. They've been around for 20 years. And this scholarship is for students of business, entrepreneurship, tourism, and marketing, students who have a passion for regional tourism and travel. Alcyon are a finance and investment firm specializing in private equity, and they sponsor a scholarship for business, accounting, and property students. And you must display enthusiasm for a career in corporate business. So again, fantastic way to get a foot in the door if that's the industry that you want to go into. And there's our second Host Plus scholarship. This is a sports management scholarship open to students studying Bachelor of Sports Management. So there are lots of different scholarships. Put your application in for the professional scholarships program, and the scholarships board, if you're successful, will match the scholarship to you. So I would recommend, even if you don't necessarily think your scholarships material, remember that these scholarships reward passion and potential. So give it a go. As they say in Australia, you've got to be in it to win it. The scholarship application process is also a really good exercise in setting and achieving goals. So throughout the application process, you'll be tasked with reflecting on some of your achievements, but also your aspirations, your career goals, and your life expectations. And the whole process, including the interview, really does build maturity and confidence, which you can carry forward through into your career. Obviously, a scholarship has a great impact on your career. It's a kind of thing you would add to your CV. You would put it on your LinkedIn. This is Andrew. He was a previous recipient of the ANZ scholarship. He talks about how, as a second-year student, first and second-year student, he had access to mentors which normally it would be impossible to get access to that caliber of person. But because he was a scholarship recipient with ANZ, they took him under his wing, and he's under their wing, and he's still working there now. He works in mergers and acquisitions as an analyst. This is Samantha, who's on the session with us. At the March ceremony this year, Samantha gave an amazing speech, and she talked about her experience with being a scholarship recipient, and she left us with an amazing quote, which was "Whatever you do, be true to you," and we love that. And the ceremony itself, the scholarship ceremony, happens twice a year. And it is live streamed through Facebook. So your family and friends, perhaps your school, they'll all want to watch you achieve your recognition. And remember that these are people who helped you get where you are. So let us all celebrate in your success as well. if you're a scholarship recipient at ICMS, there are amazing opportunities for you. You have the opportunity to be involved in, for example, the Student Ambassador Program. There are leadership opportunities for you. You might be asked to do a speech like this one. And generally, you'll have a chance to inspire other students and to contribute to the greater culture at ICMS. So what you need to do now is go onto the website, to the webpage I showed you earlier, download the scholarships brochure, find the right scholarship for you. If it's the ICMS Professional Scholarship, it is the featured one up at the top. Download the application form. Get your application in by the Thursday, the 12th of November. That is a hard deadline. But if you can get your application in before then, you are putting yourself you're giving yourself the best chance of success in your tertiary education. Now, as promised, we're going to chat to Sammy a little bit about her experience with receiving a scholarship, and we're going to let her inspire you to give it a go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Georgina. That was really insightful. And I mean, obviously, you and I see this content pretty much every single day in what we do when we're talking to parents and students and careers advisors. But when you lay it out like that, it's incredible how much is on offer for students, both new and current. So thank you for running us through all that content. That's really, really helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now we're going to hand over to the lovely lady Samantha, who you did see on screen very briefly in Georgina's presentation. I think the important thing to understand is the people you saw in those slides weren't just stock images of people which we got off the internet. The marketing guys pulled off some website. They were real students receiving real scholarships and having real impact on their lives and their futures. So to prove that point, Samantha, I'd love to hand over to you to hear about your story.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. So for the application process, it was a whole experience really, which was an opportunity in itself. So whether you get the scholarship or not, I think the whole experience of going through the application process and the interviews is so worthwhile because it teaches you a lot about yourself and builds that confidence and really sort of ignites your why of what you're doing. So for the application process, the first step is to compile a written application, which entails collecting different documents, say from school, whether it's latest school transcripts, awards, references from your careers advisor, your school principal, a year coordinator, photos from school and other supporting documents. For example, in my application, I talked about being a drama prefect and leader opportunities. So I put in some letters that I had written to the year 11s at my school that really just kind of showed my role as the prefect that I was and some of the things I did around the school out of initiative as well. And then once you've done that, you have to write a bit of a report. So I was given 4 questions and then I had to write a written section as a part of my application. And so some of the questions were things like, how will you personally benefit from an education at ICMS? Any experience you've had working with teams and how you plan to apply that in the future. What's your ideal role look like when you've graduated? Or an organisation that you've heard of in your chosen industry and why you'd want to be a part of something like that. So I think the whole written process is really to gauge your initial passion and get you to think about why you want to apply for a scholarship. How can it help you and how do you plan to help others in the future? So that really got me thinking. And then once you've submitted that, you go through a bit of an interview process if you're successful to get to the next round. So I was lucky enough to do 2 interviews. I did one off campus and then one on campus later on.
Were you nervous?
Yes, I was very nervous. So I remember I actually had my first interview with Phil over Zoom as I wasn't in Sydney at the time. And I think the most nerve-wracking part is more just the unexpected. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had done one interview for early entry already, but this was a whole different branch of the college. And so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And obviously I'd worked really hard. There's a lot of work that goes into the written application, so it can be nerve-wracking, but all the interviewers are so lovely and they're really just there to see what you want and where your passions lie, and all you can do is, like I said, be true to yourself, and that's going to get you the furthest. So it was nerve-wracking, but it's so worthwhile. And even if I didn't get the scholarship, the process itself definitely had me thinking about my why, where I want to go, and I learned a bit about myself as well. So
fantastic. I mean, and Sam, what did you learn about yourself in that process? Because it can be quite daunting, as you just alluded to. But did something come out of that process that you're glad and you're grateful for? Yeah, you learned in that way.
Yeah, so I think in general, it kind of just got me to narrow down where my values lie. So I'd obviously done an early entry application already, so I'd thought about RCMS and why I want to go there. But applying for a scholarship is kind of that extra step of, you know, you're putting yourself out there to really embrace all the opportunities that could come with it, instead of just you embracing everything that could come with it. So I definitely just learned to really consider where my values lie, and also just a bit of self-confidence and interpersonal skills. Going through that whole interview process, different interviewers each time. I'd been to campus, I think, 3 times by then for different interviews, and narrowed down my skills in report writing, but it was all very personal. So you kind of go on a bit of journey learning about where you want to head, but it builds that confidence as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Georgina and I were only talking before about how much you've come a long way in your personal development in this short period of time. And look, I mean, today you're doing 2 presentations in the space of about 60 minutes. So it gives you great experience, which is fantastic. And I mean, Georgina has kids of her own, and she's seen this process both either side of the table as well. But what about your family? I mean, were your family impacted by this? I mean, they must have been quite excited for you as well.
Yeah, they were very excited. It had been something we'd spoken about for a while. And when I heard of ICMS, the first thought was like, oh, is there any scholarship opportunities? Better jump on board for that, give myself the best shot. And the application process was quite centered around towards the end of that HSC period as well. So it was quite a daunting time, and there was a lot on my plate. So they definitely played a big part in helping me along and just like providing that sort of support network. So when they heard the news, they were very excited, relieved that the work had paid off, but also just like my parents were very proud, and they knew that they'd seen me put the work in. So they were just happy to see it pay off. And
Samantha, your school also played a role, didn't they? Because I believe they were very encouraging.
Yes, they played a huge role. So I worked very closely with my careers advisor, Michelle Williams, at Tara. And so she really sort of helped me navigate my way through the application process from early entry right through to scholarships and everything like that. And then also my school principal and year coordinator also played a part. I had them writing references for me for my application, which obviously played a huge role in the college's first impression of me for the interviews. So I definitely had them to thank. So I made sure to share the news with them, and they were also very happy, and I was very grateful that they were able to help me with that.
Fantastic. And we actually have a few questions coming through on the live chat. And look, for those of you watching at the moment, you can ask us a question live. The little blue button, which is there for you to fire questions to. So please make sure they keep coming through. But Georgina, you may actually be best placed to answer this question. It looks like a parent may be asking this, called Sarah. But Sarah has asked, my child is doing the HSC at the moment. And obviously there's a lot of pressure during that period in November when scholarships are due. How can I best support my child to get an application in, but also, get their HSC done at the same time?
Good point. So this is a particularly challenging year. And I think as parents and as educators, we have all made a public commitment to support our students in through these times. So not only will the college support you, but I hope that your parents will also support you to put in your application. The schools will definitely help as well. So I would advise applicants, make a list of all the things that you need to do, like get the written reports, get your references, make a list and ask your teacher and your parents for help, because we want to help you, because we want to see you succeed. This is a year where we are all stepping up to help HSC students. We're there for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's a really good message, and one that we're, as you know, very, very strong on here. We're here for you, and you're more than a number. So we don't want you to be too scared by that thing called NATAR and all the marks that get thrown around in the next sort of 3 to 4 months. So that's a really good point, Georgina. Thank you. Sam, you did need to do a live speech at the recent ceremony for the scholarships, and as Georgina mentioned, you were talking about your now famous line. Whatever you do, stay true to you. Do you kind of want to, elaborate on that? What does that mean to you? Where did it come from? Is that something you've had in your back pocket the whole time, or is that a recent thing?
Yeah, actually, that came around very last minute as I was writing that speech. I guess whenever I get the opportunity to share, I want it to be from the heart. And so when I was finishing off my speech, besides all the facts and figures and the stories of where I'd come from, my application and everything, I just wanted to leave something with everybody. So no matter what you do in absolutely everything in life, always stay true to you. I think because I'd found that to be very true throughout the process for myself. And I wanted to inspire others to do the same, because I remember going into my final scholarship interview, I was, again, a bit nervous about the unexpected and not sure what they were going to ask. And I know that it can be quite daunting, the title, like professional scholarship interview. It seems like it's all set in stone, but I was still really unsure. Like, I did not have one particular linear career path planned out in my head. I had so many different things I wanted to try, and I hadn't really put that out in the open yet. It's kind of all out there now. I've talked about wanting to go into entertainment and fashion and things like that, but back then I was a lot more timid and I hadn't really talked about it. So I was a bit scared to go into the interview. I thought, are they just going to want to talk professional or whatever?
You were only 17.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but no, when I got into the room and they asked me questions about where I wanted to head, I lay it all on the table and I said, look, I'm not too sure, but I'm really passionate about this, and these are where my interests lie. And that ended up paying off really well for me. So when it came to the ceremony, I wanted to share that not only with other recipients, but people who may be watching from home or overseas who were just considering whether they'd apply or not. And not just for scholarships, anything in life. I think it's important to just stay true to yourself, because that's where you're going to be more successful if you just own your passions and stay true to your heart.
Yeah, that's very true. And you actually touched upon something which we haven't covered in too much depth today. But if you are an international student watching on today from overseas, there are scholarships available for international students despite the borders currently being closed. So make sure you still get your application in by the respective deadlines as well. That won't impact the process. They'll just be virtual. So just make sure you jump on it and look up your own respective application form as well. So you kind of led me to this question, so thank you. But we had a question that come through on the chat here, which is convenient, which says, I'm really quite unsure about putting application in. I'm not highly academic is the kind of the angle it looks like. But what would your advice be for this student, Andrew, it looks like? What would your advice be for Andrew if someone's sitting on the fence around putting application in?
I had a feeling that there might be some questions like this that come up. My honest advice for anyone who is on the fence about applying, don't be. Like, I know the application process can be daunting, and if you are doing your HSC at the moment, it does seem like a lot of work, but as I said, there's so much that can come out of it, even if you don't get the scholarship in the end. You learn about yourself, the confidence. I have changed so much just since my finishing high school last year. It's only been 6 months and I'm so much more confident. And a lot of that came from taking opportunities such as this, really thinking about where my values lie, going to interviews. So I think there's nothing to really be on the fence about. If you may as well put yourself out there, and if you're not sure if you're going to get it, give yourself a go. You might surprise yourself.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very wise words. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Look, guys, that's all the questions that have come through, and I think you guys have covered off a lot of content, which has been very informative today. So thank you both for your time. Georgina, is there anything else you'd like to point out for everyone watching today?
Yes, I wanted to say that as well as obviously the scholarship application, remember you do need to put in a regular application as well. So do think about the course you want to do and put in your application. in tandem with your scholarship application. That would be the best way to do it.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yes, they're two separate applications there. That's correct. Sam, is there anything else you'd like to tell people watching today, or are you feeling pretty comfortable? Or
I don't think so. If that's all, then yeah, I would just leave everyone with go for it. If you're thinking about it, it's a great opportunity. I've met a whole new group of students just from things such as the scholarship, and then that's led me to the student ambassador program, and you just meet different people that I wouldn't have seen in class otherwise. So it's such a great opportunity to get connected with the college as well. Like, I'm here today able to share all this with you because I applied in the first place, and so go for it.
Fantastic. Yes, that's right. Go for it. Get your application in. So guys, thank you to you both for joining us, and also on a Sunday. I appreciate your time very, very much. And I'm sure everyone watching today does as well. So thank you for your insight and your content and spending time with us today. So Georgina and Samantha, thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. And I hope we've inspired a few people to put in their application.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries, guys. So for those of you watching online today, the next big steps for you, early entry. So make sure you get your early entry application in. That closes on the 8th of September. Scholarship applications also close in November as well. And UAC preferences is also a critical component, not only for your academic application, but also for your scholarship application. So ICMS does need to be listed #1 in UAC. If you already have a UAC account, unfortunately it's closed at the moment for processing. It opens again on the 12th. You can jump back in and update your preferences then. If you don't have an account and you just a little bit behind in that process, that's okay. You can jump in now today and make your account, and just make sure ICMS is listed #1 there, because we often don't get below our first preferences in the UAC system. Keep in mind the Year 12 group that is graduating this year is bigger than normal, so the demand will be higher again. So that #1 preference is essential. Just don't want you missing out on an offer, both scholarship and or academic, just because your preferences hadn't been updated. So thank you for joining us today here at Open Day 2021 in the scholarship presentation. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, Georgina and Samantha, and have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.